Hello and welcome to our second session of Shattered City. Shattered City is a legacy, Life Among the Ruins based game, like Legacy itself, like several of the offshoot games they have, like Godsend and some others, and Free from the Yoke. This is a standalone game. It's, I would say, on the complexity level of Legacy itself, with some fine tuning on the moves, but where they've kind of tightened up and simplified certain of those things, they've also added in a lot of things because this is based in a particular setting of Mysthea. It's based on an Italian board game license, and that I'm not familiar with. Now, what's interesting is they give us a lot of names and a lot of pieces. There was the Kitrian Empire that held our city of Montara, and then we're driven out by Ilvash. So Kitrians, Montara, Ilvash. We start with a lot of these names in here, but we get to fill in the blanks. There's some basic things about the world that are established, about the way that Crystal and Mirage and things work, but we've been filling that in. And last time we spent a good deal of our energy and effort building up this map that we're going to be diving into and playing. It is an involved process and super interesting, but it does mean that this session we're kind of picking up with the character creations from for characters from our houses that we built last time. Before I get too much further, my name is Lowell, pronouns he, him. This session is part of the Gauntlet Calendar, which is an online gaming club / community. And we have a ton of videos recorded. If you're watching this because you're curious about Shattered City, we also have videos for Free from the Yoke, for Free from the Yoke hack, for Legacy Life Among the Ruins, for a whole bunch of things are available on the Gauntlet YouTube channel. Organized into playlists very nicely. Rob Abrazado does a hell of a job getting those things put together for us. So if you're looking for something, curious about a game, you're like, how does this play? It's a great way to find out more about that. Before we get back in, let me remind everybody our lines and veils for the game, our safety tools, again, X card and open door policy are in place, but our lines and veils are established, and we have lines on dental horror, harm to mundane animals, homophobia, racism, sexual assault, and torture. And then veils on harm to supernatural beasts and monsters, veil meaning that it can happen, but we fade to black. We don't dwell on it too long. Harm to children, sexual content, spiders, and suicide. So we kind of have a sense that, again, if we start to edge into territory that's approached by the veil or the line, the X card is a great way with a gesture or just a word for us to remark that we need to turn away, or we need to edit through something. So we are starting with the character creation. And last time I asked the players to go through and pick out what they wanted for their character type. And so the steps essentially for building your character are to pick your stats, pick your looks, and then we will build your covenants, which are your bonds with your other heroes. And then there's the thing about picking your relic. Follow your playbook's instructions to decide on the form of the quorum. I'm going to pronounce it quorum shard that lets you channel the silent arts and decide a pivotal memory tied to it. And then you're going to pick your role, your core move, and so on. Now, I want to take a look at the covenants thing here real quick with the power. Give one rank one rank 2 on that. So let me let you start to work through that. Take a look through the playbooks. We've got the PDFs of that in the folder, but we've also got the text of those split onto the Uncanny, Civic, and Hero tabs. Let me give you about 5-10 minutes to let you put things in, and then I want to check in. If you have questions as we're going along, give me a shout out and I'll try to answer those. For deciding the covenants about left and right, use the position in the character keeper to determine which is left and which is right, obviously with wraparound on that. There is a tab that has the ancestries on it with the moves that can get swapped in. If you want to not be a human, it's up to you.
And human has a move as well.
Yes, of course, because everything should have extra. But yeah, there are some that you can swap in instead of any of your starting house moves or for an advance.
Have you taken note of what the difference between prowess and cunning is yet? Do you know what that is?
Let me pull that up. Well, let's look and see where those moves are used, and that should tell us
Okay.
where things are. So prowess is used for resist danger. Either cunning or your covenant rank is used for encounter. Prowess is also used for exploration. And cunning is used for compromise.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. So it feels like prowess is a little more physique, constitution, endurance. I think I will have us introduce our characters before we do the covenants, because it doesn't make sense to kind of build bonds until we know who the characters are. So you can do everything about picking your roles and your core moves and relics and stuff. And once we get that and we do the introductions, then we'll come back and do those covenants, those bonds.
Special harm. What does that mean? You're muted, my dear.
So that's in your playbook?
No, on the character sheet, you have harm, and then you have a decided special harm.
Some of the playbooks, like the Martyr, have like 8 harm boxes, or they have extra things because of the playbook.
Okay.
Okay.
I have my Deathless Torpor. That will replace dead, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it will.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm going to give you another minute. And things that you don't have when we kind of come around to things you haven't decided, you can decide on the fly or later on. There's a lot of things here in the character keeper that won't come into play until we zoom down to the character level. But I do want us to kind of get a sense of who our characters are. So I'll give you another minute and then we'll do some introductions.
I need a space for another move. Please.
What do you mean?
Huh?
What do you mean?
I mean, I have 3 moves to start with instead of 2.
Oh, you should be able to do it in box 80 and 81.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Excellent. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Too many moves. So, Patrick, I am going to start with you because you have a name. And I want to celebrate the fact that Patrick has a name right at the start of the character creation process. And I kind of love that. Now,
It's my proactiveness.
yes. Remind us about the house that we're coming from. Or your character, what is the house?
So the house is the Tower of Velos. The sort of base thing of the house is like a criminal underworld or drug lord sort of thing. My particular Tower of Velos, or because the tower itself is actually somewhere far away,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm here as the representatives of the tower in this land. And so my take on it, my interpretation of it is like music industry sort of thing. It is a traveling concert show. The Mirage, the drug itself, is described as like memories and emotions inscribed in crystal. And so I think a lot of that is going to be like recordings and relivings of concerts, performances, of experiences with me and whoever else might be the like wandering stars of Velos here in the land.
Now, do you imagine that is there some illegality to being a singer, to do having Mirage? Or is it just that you're kind of on that level where they're like, oh, they're actors, you know? How do you imagine?
I think there's definitely some illegality to it. This is not the only way to interpret or use Mirage, and I think other factors of Velos have used it here and in other places in the past, more overtly as a drug, or more harmfully or more coercively. Really, my character here is certainly putting forth a very like, I am here to heal the land and the people and the psychic trauma of war, and everything is good and peaceful, and why would you wonder about any of this?
So why do you think the Soldiers Guild would have a problem with you? Like, what is it? Is it that you are talking about the war? Is it that some of the soldiers are hooked? What do you think?
I think the Soldiers Guild sees no reason to change their views as us as drug peddlers.
Okay.
Like, they see their frontline soldiers getting caught up in these peaceful, blissful memories. They lose concentration and discipline on what they're supposed to be doing. They sneak off to go experience the Mirage, stuff like that.
Absolutely. Want to keep them away from the Taylor Swift concerts. It's all understandable. Tell us about your character, your representative. And again, our characters are key figures within the house. They may be in command, or they may have other roles, depending on how you build the fiction. So tell us who they are.
So her name is Raleen. I'm using the Singer playbook. And she's sort of described our humans as like various tones of gray skinned. So she's a very robust, vibrant tone of gray. Very healthy, beautiful, sort of a voluptuous look to her. Her hair is bright white and completely straight, and certainly in her concerts and under the right light seems to shimmer like crystal. She has a mask of crystal that is sort of her iconic symbol, and she often wears in performances. It's also, the iconic symbol of Velos. So there are other connotations attached to it. But then her personal relic, and I have a picture in the character keeper that I just love. It's from a Brandon Sanderson book, and it's amazing. But she has, her relic is this crystalline, sort of magically infused dress gown that she's wearing. It acts as like a mic and amplifying tool for her when she's singing, and it flashes and moves and catches light and does crazy things, and is also a relic, so presumably I can hit people in the head with it.
And you took lasting, so it helps you continue to use those magical powers.
Yeah, what I liked was that you can sustain the feat without concentration. So, her performances, her concentration is going to be put into the song, into the performance. Whatever she sets the relic to be doing to help her out, she wants to sort of set it at the beginning and not think about it again.
Tell us about, let's hold off your role move, but tell us about like your inheritance and other, which moves have you picked, and then we'll come to the role.
Okay. Oh, and just something with her look at her relic there, because one of the choices I made for it was rugged. And what I liked there for the rugged ball gown was that it keeps you from being bothered by cold, weather, heat. So she basically just wears that sort of semi-nude look all the time, without jackets, without shoes. She is just herself in crystalline skin all the time.
Nice.
let's see. I've got a death move. When I die, I cease to be in a burst of energy, light, and emotions, and that's going to be real fun. Let's see. My inheritance move. I took capture in crystal, which is when you enrapture an important figure with stolen memories and feelings. And with that, I can change their nature. I can change what sort of factor they are. I can make permanent changes to them, or I can make temporary ones. Or there could be retribution and revenge. It's all fun. It's a great move.
Nice.
My playbook moves are a kind of magic, which is when you perform a new song drawing on profound emotions. And I go through and name it and see how much the audience is into it. And based on that, like I get it forms weird covenants with people, and the song itself can aid people later on. And if other people get a huge rank, because you can have like a covenant rank score with the song, and so other people that get a high enough covenant rank with the song can make their own songs. That's this movie is
I
cool.
kind of love that. That's wild.
So yeah, if you become enough of a fan, you can become your own artist and start spreading your songs around. It's very interesting. And then fascinating performance, which is when you bare your soul in performance. And I can defect them. I can relieve pain and fear. I can hold attention. I can play around with like covenant chords in the songs, which is just, I don't know, that sounds cool.
And now, what role did you pick?
I chose Outsider.
Okay.
Which is mark when you stand ready to sell your soul in a place of power. And I think it's the sort of classic musician legend of she sold her soul for a voice, a charisma, an ability to enrapture people's minds, an ability to be beloved. And I think she sort of, her life before is unimportant. She doesn't talk about it. She came from nowhere and no one can really track down who she was, but it doesn't matter because she was born on that day. She walked forward with Velos's power, even without the consent of Velos. She walked forward with a kind of singing crystalline magic that hadn't been seen in this land before.
And we'll certainly bring into play who you have that bond with at a later point.
I think it says something about an arcane horror. It's probably not important.
It's probably not important. It's an arcane horror. All right. So that gives us a sense. We're going to come back to you and talk about those bonds cool. in a bit, but let's get everyone else introduced. Daniel, why don't you tell us about your character?
Sure. Well, I'm still figuring it out.
Sure.
But I noticed everyone else went human, so I decided I was going to do something a little different.
Ooh.
I think I'm going to go with the Bullron ancestry.
I like it.
And my character's name is Lothianen. He, him pronouns, if that is appropriate to Bullron, which I'm going to say it is, so I guess it is. So I think that what I decided was I wanted him to be, you want me to go through the house first, right?
Yeah. Remind us about who your house is.
Sure. So my house is the Rebel Underground. They're a ragtag band of desperate revolutionaries. I think we decided that they have sort of their hideout in the hidden swamp, and they primarily recruit from the workers' ghetto, that sort of disenfranchised workers and things like that. I also believe that we decided that they have an alliance with the Endless Primarchy, who they sort of struck a devil's bargain with to help them get the current oppressors out of the city, which is kind of goal for both of those houses, but at the end of which the Rebel Underground will swear their allegiance to the Endless Primarchy. I think that's pretty much where we wound up with that. So as for Lothlienin, he was a veteran of the wars, and I think we decided that he was going to be, until recently, he was going to be a resident of the Sanatorium of the Blind. So he was one of the war blinded who had been sort of not modified, but what was the word that they used?
It was
Somehow
a mental thing, like changed that way.
Right. To make them sort of more willing and effective warriors, and it causes sort of permanent sort of this war blindness where it's difficult to tell who your enemies are and who your friends are, and possibly, you know, difficult to sort of get reality situated in your mind. And I think that he sort of keeps that in check, partially due to his ancestry and the way that, you know, his mind works differently with that kind of alteration, but also through the use of the crystals that are provided by the Tower of Velos.
I'm putting right now, if I can get it to work here, I'm putting underneath the ancestries the sort of description in the book about the Bolron.
Okay.
You may have to scroll for that and stuff, but it's down there at the bottom of that column on the ancestries tab.
Perfect. Thank you. So it looks like they have a particular affinity for death, which is kind of cool. So my death move is even when you mark your dead box, you have one more deal to complete, hand one companion a message or sigil to deliver, and say what the recipient will be obliged to do upon its delivery. My role moves, I picked Rebel. So say a group, mark when you seek allies to bring a corrupt leader down. Say a group who's suffering under them. The GM then says another group they're favoring. Until just
do you
a moment
imagine
ago,
that rebel move is a rebel against your own people, or that you are kind of a firebrand rebel against other things within the city?
the latter, definitely.
Okay. All right.
I think that basically he is, because of his war blindness, he is constantly seeking enemies to struggle against. So even if he doesn't have one, he will designate one. And that is where I kind of see this coming into play.
Okay, nice.
Up until recently, I was thinking of going human, so I just changed my inheritance ancestry move to the Bullrun's Touch of Death. When you spend an hour conducting rituals of mourning around a sentient creature's corpse, no more than a day old, roll plus wisdom on a hit, pick one. You can craft an echo of the victim, initially friendly and willing to talk about their life. You can imbue your arms with the energy of death, granting them the lingering and weird tags. I have no idea what that means, but it sounds cool.
Yes.
Or you can animate the body to walk alongside you and serve you as a companion with Drilled and Strong, which also sounds cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'll fill that in here momentarily. Sure. And then hero moves, I have able cohorts. So everywhere I go, I have 2 trusted agents that go with me. And I actually have to fill in their names in my harm boxes because they can take harm for me, basically.
Absolutely.
But I've chosen to have a bodyguard and a scholar. And I will fill out some information about them momentarily. Sure. And then Scars and Grudges, I picked you and an ancient menace are trapped in a decades-long vendetta, and somehow it will not die. When you confront it, reveal a memory of your past battles and roll plus rolls marked when you create an exploit or opening. I have no idea what that means, but it sounds cool. And I think I would like to tie that ancient menace into a bit on our map, which is the Mist Wraiths.
Yeah, where the
But I'm not
spirits of
exactly
the
sure what that,
soldiers are trapped there. Yeah.
right. I'm not exactly sure what that will look like yet.
Okay.
But I think that that's kind of where I'm leaning with that.
I think that gives
that
us,
is as far as I've got.
yeah, I think that gives us more than enough to have a sense of your character. We'll come back
Awesome.
to you and do about the building of those bonds in a little bit. Let's come to Chris. Tell us about your character.
Okay. See, I went with Vagabond. I had originally thought about Storyteller, but then I realized that Tyler had jumped onto that. Um, so I settled on my Vagabond idea. She is Olgrid, one of the Untamed clan. She is feminine, but also short and brutish, with shaggy hair and her general expression is some sort of ironic glance or scowl at whoever she happens to be focusing on at the time.
And just let me pause you here for a second. Give us the 30-second pitch on your house again, too, to give us some context before we go too much further.
Okay, the Untamed Clan are a group of nomadic ranchers / farmers who travel seasonally in the areas around the city. Traditionally, they had been the folks who basically provided the food and other basic living necessities for most of the folks in the city. That seems to have altered with the coming of the new kingdom, and they are a defiantly rustic group of ecologically minded wanderers who generally try to maintain a distance from most of the city, except when they have to trade for craft items or need those crystals for some of their more obscure ecologically charged cult rituals that they have to get from the Tower of Velos.
Nice. All right. So that gives us the context. We'll swing back to Olgrid now.
Okay. Let's see. Olgrid is an agent, as her role within the Untamed Clans, which, as I read it, means that she is someone that they send to end things and people, with either particular prejudice or completely indiscriminately as some form of mass carnage. I'm not sure exactly how focused they are. As many folks with as many of the folks of the Untamed Clans, she is particularly attached to her mount. In this case, it's her animal companion, a greater Ulfin, which is basically a giant wolf. I just thought that sounded like a cooler name.
Yeah.
The greater Ulfin, as a hero of the Untamed Clans, she gets the Soul Rider, which gives her mount 2 extra tags. So basically, the greater Ulfin she rides is named Rucka, and he is canny, mighty, durable, and swift.
Nice.
So he is one monstrously badass giant wolf thing. Her companion is a hunter who is actually another of the Ulfin, but smaller, and that is Rucka's packmate Isker, who has the drilled and vicious tags. So Isker is the mean one.
Okay.
And Rucka is the smart one. And as a vagabond, she has the mysterious stranger as her main move, basically, which lets her do really cool, really sneaky things as long as nobody knows exactly who she is. And she also has Ghost Walker, which lets her do even more nifty things as long as someone isn't sure exactly who she is, or what she's doing. Basically, Ghost Walker lets her basically stalk and harass people if they're traveling through wilderness and ruins, as long as she manages to keep them guessing as to who or what is harassing them, she can do all sorts of fun things as a part of that.
Awesome. I think that gives us a pretty good sense of who she is, so that we can do those bonds when we come back around. Tyler, last but not least, please tell us about your character.
Oh, there's so much to do with all these things. Alrighty. I am playing Taliesin.
I do want to say one thing. Don't forget your house does give you a stat bonus if you haven't added that onto your character.
Mine does not.
Yours does not.
Mine gives me a free advance.
Oh, well, that's nice.
It does. Do we get an inheritance move for free to start with?
Inheritance may start with one of those inheritance moves. Yes.
So you get one to start with. Okay,
Yep.
cool. All right then. So I know which one I'm picking. So
Okay.
I'll tell you in a few. But first off, I'm playing the Endless Primarchy, which is the Crystal Crowned playbook. We are the former nobles of the city from before there was kingdom or empire to invade here. And we exist pretty much eternally. We have kind of decrepit bodies, certainly not healthy looking bodies. I guess that might be the way to say it. That are kept alive by fading magic. And we wear our big ceremonial armor with our animal masks. And we have our great tower, our great redoubt, which is the center of our power in our home. And it gives us lots of cool things. We also, to kind of go along with that creepiness, we follow certain strictures. In particular, right now, we're predators of the dust, which means that we drink the tears of other people to sustain ourselves. As long as we do that, though, we cannot die. When we would die, we fall into a torpor where we cannot be harmed any further. And there is a little bit of effort that goes into having to bring us back. Primarily going through the last redoubt and dealing with some monsters in the mist that protect it. I suppose, I believe it was mentioned that we are in alliance with and working with the Rebel Underground, who we have seen to be a most reasonable group who understand that the Empire and the Kingdom both should not be in charge of our fair city, but the Endless Primarchy should. And of course, once we are, we're going to make things much, much better for everyone, because we're like that. But that is the Endless Primarchy.
Okay.
I am playing Taliesin, who is a storyteller of the Primarchy. He wears an owl mask, which is his animal mask. Let's see, he's masculine. He speaks in a sort of whispered voice. His eyes are playful and he has a smile all the time. You can see his eyes. Rarely do you see his face. He usually keeps his mask on because it's also his relic, which manipulates sound. I don't know yet how to set up these relics. I did put its memories as dreams and faith, but I don't really know what tags or stuff goes onto it or what the potence with precise, wide, or lasting things are.
We'll figure that out.
Okay. My death move, should it happen, which just by chance I stop drinking tears, who knows, maybe everybody will be happy. But if I do die, I can mark one of my unmarked rolls, and I say who I trust to tell my story. If they refuse or fail to tell my story, it's up for grabs. If no one tells it before the age is done, I'm forgotten, and that would be just terrible. And I'm taking the leader. Mark, when you tell your house a story of a fabled treasure, whatever you say will grow and spin out of proportion, save who looks to you to advise their pursuit of it. I'll be picking an inheritance ancestry move here in a moment. My base move is Tales and Legends. When I relate a story of a marvel or mystery, state one fact per roll marked. It's arcane, brutal, dramatic, horrific, romantic, savage, one of those. Origin, power, weakness, or fate, one of those. If you make one fact an untrustworthy fiction, I gain a lore as a clue to find out the truth behind the mist. The audience gains fleeting advantage to act on the true lore and fleeting disadvantage to act on the false one. I picked ancient bestiary when I relate rumors, half-truths, and glimpses of an elusive creature or phenomenon. I get to name some things, and the GM will secretly pick one that's false. And people get some advantage when acting on the true and disadvantage when acting on the false. And once per cycle, I can introduce the object of your story into a scene. And then I took Darkest Before the Dawn because, again, I'm a swell guy. When your stories give someone solace and purpose, heal any mental or emotional harm they suffer. They're suffering.
So after you've made them cry.
After I make them cry, I make them feel better about it. And worth noting, I did change my house move that I picked before. I had the Ghost Parliament. I've instead taken Ancient Wrath.
Ooh.
When you marshal your forces to fight for your legacy, get one hold for each point of special thing I have, which I have 0 at the moment, but I can spend arts to get extra hold 1 for 1. And while I battle, I may spend 1 hold to command the redoubt to either remove a foe from the battlefield, negate an incoming attack, force your foes out into the open, or summon ghostly reinforcements. I thought it sounded pretty badass.
That is pretty badass.
Oh, I guess this is kind of cool. How I fight? I have a voice amplification necklace, which is ranged, weird, and area. I have my ornate plate armor, which is regal, arcane, and armored. I ride on Death on Wings, which is a mount that is swift and canny. And my loyal shadow is my companion, who is shadowy and astute. And I don't think I haven't come up with a name for him, he or her, or them. I don't know if there is a name, and I don't know if people know much about them.
Okay. All right. So that gives us all the characters. Now, you have on your playbook, you'll notice that you have those 4 cores. You're now going to take 2 of them, assign 1 to the player whose column is to your left and 1 to the player whose column is to your right. Everybody should go through and do that now. And then we will walk through and look at what those, kind of figure out what that connection actually means when we put those 2 factors together. So you'll put what you're assigning in core 1, and then when we find out what the other person's assigning, we'll put that in core 2.
See, where are we finding the things to assign into the cores?
Sure. If you look at the playbook for your character, below particulars, it says cores. 2 of them you use to build your relics memory, and then 2 of them you're going to use to build these covenants, these bonds with other people.
Also on the covenants, or on the characters tab, I made notes on everybody's covenant cell that has your cores in it.
Look at you. I'm a little surprised that the note thing doesn't make the corner white when the cell is filled in like that.
That would be great.
Yeah. So the cores are very much color. There's no, unlike some of the tags and things, there's no specifics to them. You'll assign one covenant rank 2 and the other covenant rank 1. These are used with the moves to aid people. It's also used when your bonds between you and the other person are strained, or you can also exploit that bond, exploit that covenant with the other person. So looks like everything's assigned. So Patrick, we're going to do that same order. Would you like to talk about your bond or your covenant with Taliesin or with Lathlianan first? Which one?
So let's we'll left to right. So start with Taliesin.
Okay. So what are the 2 words, the 2 cores that we have there?
So interestingly, I'm the one that chose change, and Taliesin's the one that chose music.
So let's talk to you two. What do you think? What kind of story about the connection between you two is represented by those 2 terms, by those 2 cores? Thoughts?
I'm curious, Tyler. Like, what do you see Taliesin as doing with his stories? What is he trying to achieve with the stories that he tells?
I imagine him as kind of I think of him a little as a rabble rouser for the old days.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a reactionary rabble rouser. But he wants to remind people of what we were before all of this came to us. And, and he's, also part of it is, part of that element is that he wants to inspire people to do heroic things. He wants to uplift people to go out there and be bigger than this kind of small awful that we've been living in.
Interesting. So what do you think about like the 2 of us working together, words and music, to write a sort of tale song, a story song that points out like how much we have changed over this time, that talks about the ancient ways and how we used to be, in order to highlight how much we've changed over time?
I like that. Or an opera, maybe.
Oh, I was thinking the Montaran version of "We Didn't Start the Fire," but that's. I think that works. So you 2 have worked together. You have shared some artistic ambitions and have shared that closeness. Okay, that gives us a sense, and you can decide whether you want that to be your 1 bond or your 2 bond. And they don't have to be the same between the 2 of you. So let's come to then Riln and Lothlianan, what are the two words that we have between the two of you there?
So I chose lovers, and Lothlianan chose memento.
Ooh, interesting. So what do we think that might mean? Were you lovers, or were you connected to someone who's lovers? What do you feel is, or is it,
I don't
you
know.
know, it
What
could be
is, what,
agape love?
I'm curious what you're thinking, Daniel, because I sort of led on the one with Tyler.
Yeah, so I thought it would be kind of neat if maybe Lothianen and Rylene, is that right?
Raleen.
Rylene are lovers, and Lothianen is using that relationship to gain sort of the favor of the public because she's such a popular figure.
Do you think he actually has feelings for her, or is this a completely sort of
No, I don't think
mercenary
so.
PR thing?
Yeah, I think so.
Then I think it would. I don't know. I sort of think it would make sense for Raleen to have the memento because maybe we both do. It just means different things. Like Raleen has a memento of Lothlorien because she thinks about him and misses him when she's traveling, and he has one of hers so that he can show it off.
Did you
Yeah,
know,
so
Lothlianan, let me ask you this, before they went to war? Because there's definitely, we have the idea, right, that Lothlianan was transformed and changed and then came back, right?
mhm,
I
mhm.
don't know if that's a thing.
That'd be interesting. Like maybe I did know you before the war, but like I haven't told you who I am. I've changed so much. My past has been erased. I haven't like revealed our previous connection, sort of thing.
So I think that could be super interesting. Another
Uh-huh.
thing I'd like to throw out there as a possibility is that I believe Lothianen can actually animate dead people. So maybe the memento is somebody important to Raleen, who Lothianen has brought back for her.
I mean, I can't think of something else that would buy more everlasting devotion. That's good.
Yeah, as a possibility, if you like that idea.
Yeah, like give me some time to think on who it is.
Okay.
I like that. I like that. It gives a nice connection. It plays into your powers. It echoes what we know about your character. So yeah, let's. That's a good one.
If you would like, I would be totally open to making that person one of my cohort.
Oh yeah.
So I get a couple of folks in my cohort, a bodyguard and a scholar. So if either of those would fit, that might be an interesting additional tie.
Yeah, like I said, give me a little bit to think on who that might be, and I'll try and tell you what that is.
I like that.
Absolutely.
Then let's look at Lothlianan and Olgrid, and there we have counsel and passion. Chris, do you have thoughts? Kind of push Daniel to make the first call on that one. What do you have thoughts?
I think from the perspective of Olgrid, I think Lothlianan is a hero of the rebellion, right? So and I think from Olgrid's point of view, as this sort of outsider who has these sort of tangential relations with probably with the rebel underground, just like everybody else. I think she sees Lothlianan as someone who is dedicated to a cause that it's hard for her to necessarily fathom. Like she is she works through the through the traditional power structure of the Untamed clans, and she's part and parcel of that. Even if she's kind of the blunt instrument on the end of the stick of the tribal councils and elders, uh, she this idea of rebellion, I think, is something that against authority is something that intrigues her, and she finds that she finds herself, unironically drawn to, I think, the passion of someone who is a participant and a hero of this rebel underground.
What do you
And on the
think?
count, oh,
Oh,
sorry.
I was going to
Eh,
stop. Let's get some of Daniel's input on this. Like that, you want to turn that? Not cool. What do you think here?
No, I think that that's cool. I was having some difficulty trying to figure out how passion would fit into this, and I think that that's an excellent way.
Okay. Are you good with that, Chris?
Oh yeah, and I thought on the council end of things, if I'm and I'm not sure exactly what other than just fictional ideas.
Mm-hmm.
I would think council will be something that again, because she sees this, she's strangely drawn to this idea of rebellion, which maybe foretells some future role in the Untamed clans for her. The council part is maybe that she is in the process of this, maybe learning something from Lothlienan as their relationship develops, like kind of learning how this sort of rebellion, this sort of underground has to work, and it's different than the Untamed clans method of fighting, I think, because they fight and then they fade into the hills. They disappear, into the valleys, into the mountains, whatever. But the rebel underground has to live right there with the force that they're fighting against all the time. Literally, they're living in the lion's den while they're hunting lions. It's an amazing thing, and I think Olgrid wants to learn how they're able to do that, and how they're able to maintain that focus and that passion, while having to constantly be on their guard against the forces they're fighting against, because they're literally under their feet the whole time.
Lothlienan, is there anything else we should know about your side of that connection, given what we know about Olgrid?
Yeah, so I really like the idea of having Lothlienan and Ulgrid kind of seeking out each other for knowledge. And I think from Lothlienin's perspective, being not human and not fully in the land of the living, I think that he sees Olgrid as both intensely human and also intensely connected to living things. Um, so he seeks out her wisdom and her knowledge of both of those things so that he can better, accomplish the task that he's so driven to accomplish, which is basically, running a mostly human rebellion.
Nice.
That's pretty awesome, especially since I have -1 wisdom.
Yeah.
So do I.
Oh, that's gonna go well.
This is gonna go just fine.
Just fine. Taliesin, your connection with Olgrid is
Dreams and pride.
Dreams and pride. Interesting. Do you have a starting thought there?
Let me pitch something at you, Chris. See what you think. How about that? We knew each other. Let's see. Hang on. No, that's not what I'm thinking. Okay. This may be weird. Do you think that we've dreamed of each other since you were born? I mean, obviously, I was born eons ago, but
I can see, especially with since the tribes basically make use of these weird memory crystals that the Velos create. I can easily see that, like, it at some point in one of these memory crystal based rituals, like maybe early on, they've that she managed to catch some sort of fleeting, like, memory, because you've been around for so long. The odds of maybe you of one of your random memories getting into one of those crystals at some point, I'm not sure exactly how they work. Patrick might be able to, to sort of throw a monkey wrench into that if they work differently than I'm thinking. But
They work very vaguely in inflexible circumstances.
sounds
then
great.
how about, let's see, it's got pride with it. So do you think that somewhere that you ran across this memory crystal of me, I could sense that you had somehow gotten this memory and it led you to something, and I'm both pleased that you're proud of whatever it led you to. I'm proud that something I did elevated someone. How does that sound?
I think so. And maybe this whatever this thing I discovered, might it have something to do with, like, the relic that you ultimately ended up carrying around, or has that been with you for longer than that, do you think?
I think I've had my relic for a while. It might be
Okay.
yours.
That could be it.
Mm.
My relic that is supposedly contains the last memories of my loved ones within it, so that could be something. Like, if
Ooh.
if uh, if that I have some ideas about the relic, because I decided it was a cloak made of old cave bear hide. If if that memory crystal that you had that had been infused with your memories led her to finding uh, this bear creature that had maybe killed a family,
Mm.
one of her family members, like the her that led to those memories being trapped in there.
Hmm.
And if that crystal had led her to that, like, that would be something that she would consider to be a strong bond that
Excellent. I think that
you
works
would
well
share with
because
that.
that works well with my idea of creating heroes, and you
Mhm.
going to do that creates a hero. So that would build that bond from my end too. Sound good? Excellent.
All right. We've got that. Characters are done. We're going to take a break. We're going to take about 10 minutes. When we come back, we're going to roll into the start of session things, which is going to involve us kind of doing a little talk about the bad guys, and then moving into doing some setup and some house move things and getting a sense of maybe what the crisis is that's happening. So let's take 10.
I'm glad we're playing this a long time. There's a lot to this game.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it. I like a complex game, but
I do too, but there are a lot of pieces, and you're going, okay, well, which ones are we going to be able to get to?
mhm.
It definitely bears, I've learned this with Legacy. You have to do at least 2 months to get to those points.
And it's so front loaded. There's so much up front.
Yeah. One of the things is interesting because unlike a lot of games, when I'm looking at the front load stuff, I'm not certain what stuff, like, okay, which ones don't we have to like pay all that much attention. I know like gear and tags, we don't have to worry about that until later, but there's a whole bunch of stuff in here. I'm like, do we need to really know that right now? So for those of you who stayed through the 10-minute break where I didn't pause the recording, because I always forget to do that. But Alan the other day missed the second act of a game in between the two things, and he was upset. So
better to keep recording than not have it recorded.
Absolutely. Sometimes I have people watch the YouTube videos and annotate and go, there's a 10-minute break where they do nothing at this time point stamp. Usually, all right, thanks.
And we appreciate you watching.
So we start here in the city of Montara. The Kitrian occupation has been thrown back, and Ilvash has pushed the forces northward. And the guild that now occupies Montara is the Soldiers Guild. And that means that the city right now is a crossroads for the troops heading to the front lines, for the wounded falling back, for supplies getting shipped up to there, and as we know from the sanatorium, of recruits being pulled into the army and changed and made into other things and then come back. What we do at the beginning of the cycle, we're going to do what's called a council phase. And then we're going to go to the city phase where we're going to do house moves. And then we'll kind of come back to down to the sort of hero sort of flashpoint level. So in the council phase, we start with a meeting room, and we see the various leaders of the soldiers. It takes place in the Spire of Justice, which is where we've established that the occupational forces have their central HQ, where the soldiers have their main place. There's probably a shot out of one of the windows to the broad execution thing. Tyler, what does that look like? What is that we know the tower is big, and we know that there's this execution site out there. What does it look like? Is it open? Is it closed? Is it decorated? What do we see?
The execution spot?
Yeah. What do we see on screen?
I think looking down, they have this it's a wheel, iron wheel, and a person is put on it, and in an attempt to be more humane, the wheel is spun rapidly to a blade that cuts the head off.
Oof. So it's it's a standing guillotine, okay, or guillotine, okay. And we see the markers and banners of the occupational forces of the soldiers guild all through there. But there's a discussion here amongst the soldiers, and what's going to happen is each of you is I'm going to give you a question, and you're going to set some things, and then I'm going to, as the guild player, kind of respond and elaborate on that, and that's going to set some of the stage for what's coming here. So Patrick, I'm going to start with you. You're going to tell us what's going on at the front, like how things are going, what is happening, and then you need to pick a surplus that the king, the Ilvashian king, King Atalis, is demanding. Demanding that Montara provide to reinforce his legions. So how do you think the war is going?
Do we have a surplus list somewhere on these
Do we have a surplus list? I don't think we have it in the character keeper, but you know, let me grab. I bet I can find the list real quick because this book is hyperlinked. Let's see here.
I think in general the war is going well, or certainly that's the reports that are coming in. So even if it's not as glowing as the reports right now, it's going pretty well on the front. I think the Kitrians are, it's the Kitrians is the empire.
So Ilvash is the empire.
Back.
The Kitrians are the ones that are pushed out before.
Ilvash is the kingdom that has us.
Yeah, Ilvash is the kingdom. Kitrian is the empire. So the Kitrians got kicked out, and the Ilvashi are in charge.
Oh, it's not bad. The Kitrians are falling back currently along most of the front. I think there is a fort built around a very tall tower, like a fort that's obviously made at a different construction and time than the tower that it's built around. And while the Ilvashian armies are sort of mopping the floor with the Kitrians along most of the line, for some reason, all of their military competency and strength seems to be centered around this tower. It was something that they hadn't really noticed until recently, when so much of the rest of the line began to crumble. Did we get a list?
So the list is 3 pages because they don't have a quick list of it.
Nice.
I think it might be in the PDF.
Yeah,
but it's mostly the classic. It's mostly the classic stuff like luxury, engineers, land, justice, barter goods, fresh water. Do you imagine that Ilvash needs to like break this fortress?
Yeah. So what would be something that would like
Engineers.
help with siege? There we go.
Definitely engineers. So right now, King Atalis is demanding anyone in Montara who has engineering knowledge, has siege lore knowledge, any of those people are to be sent to the front, and that is a surplus that the king is demanding. So, and actually, I'm going to see if I can find this list of surpluses, because of course, all of these questions revolve around it, which I only just realized right
They
now.
have in the PDF on the set down, they have the cards, which is kind of clever.
Okay.
That has
they're on
surplus
page 37.
Oh, okay. So you can see what those are. So let me come to you, Daniel. We've heard what the news from the front is. Tell us what's going on in the Ilvashi capital. That's interesting. And then pick a local surplus that has become fashionable and in high demand back home.
All right. I think that probably sort of Montaran, historically Montaran cultural things have become very fashionable. And I think a lot of that may revolve around some of the like musical and writing that has been, coming up with through. I'm sorry, I'm looking through the character keeper here. Oh, yeah, there it is. Raylene and Taliesin. And so I think that the surplus that is desired is probably artisans.
And I think then what the Soldier Guild knows is that there are collector nobles, patron nobles, who are coming from the capital to poach artists and writers and so on, and to give them patronage and take them back to the capital with them, where they can be kept as pet artists and stuff. That gathering them for the nobles right now is probably for the season. You have to show off that you've got a Montaran poet in your retinue, or you're just not anybody. So the soldiers are talking about that, about how that's another one of the guilds that creates tension there, and they have to, of course, maintain security of those nobles while they are present. Now, this is for you, Olgrid, for you, Chris. Tell me about a subversive group within Montara, maybe one we've already established, maybe something new, that the soldiers are worried about, and like, what new law would the soldiers put in place to deal with these subversives?
I think we know that they're kind of paranoid about the supposed imperial remnants still being around and still sabotaging things. Like, I think we established that the occupying forces from the kingdom just still have this paranoid, this paranoia about that. I think you have this this new group that is sort of playing on that, and they are basically throwing up really what amounts to badly drawn like fan art of the Kitrian Empire.
Mm-hmm.
It's like graffiti basically, and I mean, none of it is like really that serious, but it's playing on that paranoia.
Mm-hmm.
And so the occupying force, the soldiers, have started to basically start cracking down on even like anything they decide is Kitrian imagery. And the problem is that the kingdom doesn't always know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
So like they have this, they try to come up with this sort of vague definition of Kitrian imperial imagery that they outlaw as being subversive and as being anti-Ilvashi, and I think
any public displays or presentations or markings on anything that is Kitrian propaganda or Kitrian influenced, leaving it
right,
hugely
and
broad. Okay.
they basically outlaw that, and they're imposing basically pretty drastic penalties for any of it, and the penalties are draconian, just craziness. Like a first offense is a loss of the hand that was used to paint the graffiti or something like that, and it's sort of stirring things up more than just basically washing off the graffiti would have.
Mhm.
Like it's basically it's making a mess of it and triggering a whole lot of other dominoes to be knocked over in the various anti-kingdom circles in Montara.
And what would you have a name for this group that has been doing this?
Um, I think I think they call themselves the Ghosts of Empire.
Ghosts of
It's
Empire.
just and it's super like none of them are actually Kitrian.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're just basically they remember they're I think a lot of them are young, and a lot of them don't remember the Kitrian occupation so much as being an imposition because they grew up during it, and they know the kingdom as being basically the people who basically ran roughshod through the city and destroyed a healthy chunk of it. So they've got this burning hatred for the kingdom, and they've got this really rose-covered glasses view of what the empire and its policies, because they were kids when the empire was here, but they really remember what the kingdom did when it came in. So I think they've got this sort of they're basing this idea of their movement as a as a pro-Kitrian thing, when really they don't really understand what the Kitrians were about, but they remember what the imagery looked like. They remember that that the Kitrians had like this this little easily drawn wing pattern as one of their symbols and stuff like that, and so they will draw that stuff in lots of places.
And one of the things that I set then as the guild player is I say what worse outcome this law will prevent. And one of the things I'm going to suggest is that this is maybe actually causing problems for these Kitrian occupiers in the shadows, because they had been using tagging and markings and things like that, public art displays, as a means of communication. And kind of accidentally, this has disrupted their ability to organize, and trying to find new paths to manage that.
I can see that. Maybe like this group of kids is also screwing up because they're using some of the same imagery, and so like the signals are getting crossed.
Mm-hmm.
Like the actual insurgents are like, who painted this here? This isn't the symbol for like burn this building on Thursday.
Okay.
Why is this here? And like everything being their entire like set of sabotage is just being completely ruined by it.
Excellent. Tyler, you are going to deliver a report on a promising development in the Soldiers Guild reshaping of Montara. And then you get to name a surplus that will be harvested when it's completed. It's only for the good.
Right.
What is this? What is the Soldiers Guild doing that's going to have this positive outcome?
Just giving a quick look over. All right. They have been bringing back wounded here for triage.
Mm-hmm.
And we've discovered that here at the Garden of Peace, there's a remarkable recovery rate. However, local tradition says that those who don't recover are to be buried there. Apparently, it makes the herbs grow stronger. We're proposing to bring in all dead and have them buried in this garden. It should produce, considerably more medicine out of it.
So, medicine. I think that makes sense. But I do think that the problem is going to be the long-term repercussions of that. We've already established that crystals and things catch memories. I think that people that are healed by these newly corpse-grown herbs are going to start having flashbacks, and it's going to be a little bit of an echo of what's gone on with the people in the sanatorium and things like that. We're not going to realize it at first, but you're going to get surplus medicine, but there's going to be a cost to that. Does that sound okay?
That rocks. I like it.
I also should have said when Patrick did his statement about what's going on at the front, I think one of the things is it's clear to the Ilvashi that this fortress, this steadfast that they're kind of trying to push in on, that the Kitrians are up to something there. Like they're up to something strongly magical, but they're not sure what it is. And that may be an issue coming down the line. So that's the council side of that. Even as the council is meeting, even as these soldiers are meeting, we cut to what's called the venture. And the venture is all of the houses. That's the collective word for all of that. And there is a meeting. And I think that if we kind of look at the map, I think that a place that is kind of in some ways a neutral spot is probably somewhere near the hidden swamp. It's where there's a lot of people can reach at, and so we look at that. We will see certainly that there are representatives from the crystal iconoclasts. We'll see representatives from the priesthood. We'll see representatives from the Monster Hunter Guild. Some of the other cabals are present there. So, Patrick, are in a meeting like this, is it you that is sent, or is there someone else that is sent from the Tower of Velos?
This may change over time, but this is sort of newish, so I think it's definitely Raleen that is there in all of her shiny glory.
And so she's present. The other leaders know you. You probably shine like a gem. The hidden swamp is enclosed. It's we established it's in a cave, so it's probably lit by phosphorescence. But you're like a lantern in there in your own way.
No one can figure out where my lighting is coming from. Somewhere.
Exactly. How did they do that? And then for the Rebel Underground, is it Lothlianan who's sent or someone else?
I think it's probably Lothlianan, especially since they're based there primarily. It's not like it's far out of his way.
Right. And you have your now. This is a chance. Do you have a sense of who one or both of your bodyguards are?
Yeah. So right. So the scholar is Arella. Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah.
Perfect. Who is Ralene's dead sister?
Ooh.
And I think given Ralene's rewritten past, well, because this is part of our relationship, so she has to know that this is a sister. So this is someone that she calls her sister, but there's no visual similarity between them.
And what does the kind of undeath that you bring look like on someone? How can we tell that they're not among the living still?
I think it's probably subtle. I think it's highly dependent on sort of what they looked like when they died. So it's not like they recover from their their mortal conditions. But I think that they are just sort of emotionally, mentally wrong. They're not as exactly as they used to be. They get distracted very easily. It's like they sort of have one foot in the land of the living and one foot that's sort of like trying to drag them into the land of the dead.
I like that. I like that. So maybe on some of them we'll see wounds that have been sewn up. Others will see just evidence of illness or whatever took them on. Okay. What of the untamed? Is it Olgrid that is sent, or is it someone else?
I think as an agent, I can see Olgrid showing up there, but I imagine they've also maybe they've also sent sort of someone else who is more of a people person.
Mm-hmm.
Like Ogrid is a people person, but not in the good way.
So we have a you think like an elder of the house, or somebody who's more young and virile.
I think it's probably an elder.
Okay.
And Ogrid sort of basically stalking in the background, just in case the elder, points the crooked finger at somebody and
Points the crooked finger. I like that. That's a good euphemism. And then what about for our good and noble house of the endless primarchy? Is it you that are sent?
I am sent, but I'm there to be the one speaking because we have sent one of our really more higher people, Malkeith, and he has the dragon mask, enormous armor, never talks. So I have to be there to do the talking, but he's there.
Is it that you hear what he says, or is it more of a kind of a he says kind of thing? What do you think?
I'm made aware of what he plans to say.
Oh, okay.
If I fail to do that, he would let me know. Probably not verbally, but he would let me know if something was going differently.
Excellent. So here's the sequence we're going to go through. Each of you is going to do this sort of 3-step problem. You will announce a problem, a threat, or an opportunity that your house can't handle, can't take advantage of, or can't handle, whatever. It could be something that already we have on the map, or it can be something new. Then you're going to say which other house should deal with the problem. That house must accept ownership of the issue, get someone they have influence over to help, or refuse and lose influence on the initial house. So there's kind of a back and forth pressure here. If they refuse and no one else volunteers, then I'll mark it on the map as a rising issue. So a problem is kind of a low level, like maybe social thing that has to be dealt with. A threat is a more active foe or more dangerous problem. And an opportunity is like, hey, you can get this surplus or do this awesome thing. We can't do it, but maybe you want to take advantage of it. So let's start with the Tower of Velos as we're all gathered around. What does the Tower of Velos present and ask of the others?
So I guess we'll figure out. I'm not sure if this falls under problem or threat. But Relene will, we've gone through the informal introductions. We've had whatever, like, okay, let's actually sit down at the table and do it. And I think with a sort of quirked smile as she sees the crystal crowned with their full and imposing masks on, she'll sort of put up her crystal mask over her face. And when she speaks again, it's not the sort of like, she has a lovely conversational voice, but I think when she speaks again through the mask, it's that almost like vocoder, multi-layered vocal effect to her voice.
Are you auto-tuned?
I mean, not auto-tuned,
Okay.
but enhanced. It's sort of a backing chorus. Dude, I've been so insulted. But no, she leans forward and says, there has been a terrible development of late. The caravan, the concert, the experience, it travels across the land, healing the blighted, uplifting the people of this city. But the guild, the soldiers, their leadership has no soul. It has no appreciation of beauty and music. They've called us some sort of plague and infection upon their people. They've set up roadblocks and made travel more difficult than it has been in the past. And while most people, I suppose, can just go by in their anonymity and slip underneath their notice, I could never go without notice. It would be impossible for me to go down the road quietly, singly. The caravan, it just brings such attention wherever it goes. So another house to deal with.
Yeah. So the issue is these roadblocks preventing the caravans from getting the places they need to go, kind of a problem rather than a threat. So who would Velos ask to deal with these roadblocks?
It's I think I have the connection, and it's, we don't want to go straight to the most brutal option. So I think she would turn to Lothlien and say, Leah, surely you can do something about these troublesome inspections. I mean, if you had the tour schedule a little bit ahead of hand, you could lead them away from their checkpoints. You could send them false leads. I don't know what you do, but something.
So I think Lothlien is considering this, and he thinks that maybe this would be a good opportunity to maybe use this as a means to smuggle some needed contraband in as well. So after sort of a moment's consideration, the normally laconic Lothlien will look over to Aurella, and sort of a silent communication happens between the two of them. And he'll turn back and he will just simply nod.
Nice.
I knew I could count on you.
So you have ownership over that problem of travel that's out there. So Lothlien, and we kind of, it's the order that we've been doing. Let's come to you next. What is a problem, threat, or opportunity that your clan can't handle, your house can't handle?
So when it is Lothlien's turn to speak, he'll stand, and he has, apparently, I just found out, large scythes for arms, which is pretty cool. So he'll stand and sort of fold those under himself, so they stick up next to him like wings. Nice. And he will just turn to the representative of the Endless Primarchy. Is that Taliesin?
I'm there as the speaker, yes.
Okay. And he will sort of, like, in a low growly voice, he'll say, the workers in the ghetto are falling ill. The water from the stream, the life stream, is contaminated. The filtration is inadequate. this is a situation that must be rectified.
Of course, we would wish to see that our people are well cared for. We shall look into this.
He will bow his very tall, lanky form almost completely in half and then sit.
So we will definitely establish that the redoubt has accepted the burden of this threat, this serious problem that we kind of established even before during the world creation here. Okay. Then let's come to the Untamed, to Olgrid. What is a problem, threat, or opportunity that you can't handle? You are muted.
Got to fix that. Okay. I think that since we've had problems already, I think I'm going to lean towards there being a surplus, and I think the Olgrid does not announce this because that is not her stage. The clan elder steps forward in this phosphorescence, and this clan elder is known to those in attendance as the crone. They are completely covered in this cloak and hood, and when they reach out and point their like bony, like arthritic looking fingers, that's the only skin you can see, and that is all marked up by the ritual tattooing that the clans tend to undergo, and they point towards the, I think they point towards the center of the chamber and say, "We have discovered an abnormal growth of new crystals. They are of a nature that we cannot use, and we hesitate to approach them because they are not something we have encountered before. But perhaps you," and the crone crooks their finger, I think, toward the Tower of Velos. "Perhaps you can make some use of this. We would like them removed, if at all possible. They are not something that is part of the land. It is some new perversion, I'm sure, but you can make use of them. We will tell you where they are, and you may come and take them."
New sounds interesting, and perversion sounds exciting. So just send me a note where to, and I think it sounds like a perfect spot for a new concert.
And the crone hisses and like motions behind her to Olgrid, who is digging something out of the couple of packs and sacks that they brought with them. And they'll eventually basically give you an old and somewhat messy map to where this new crystal growth has occurred.
And we'll let you choose that, Patrick, since it's in your lap. So let's come to Lord Taliesin and his boss. What is a problem, threat, or opportunity that your inestimable people cannot deal with?
Not deal it seems say, well, I don't know if that's entirely true, but the Primarchy has looked through our records. We have investigated, and in times of old, as we all know, the sleepless sea bestrides the great chasm, and by its nature does not travel through it, but yet sits astride it. We know that before, the caves around the sea produced much in the way of food. It was part of the wonders of the city. Now that we have some freedom to look at things of old, the clans surely could find these caves and discover if the fungal farms still remain. It is a benefit to us all that we eat.
And what's this is being put to the Untamed, right?
To the Untamed, yes.
So what is the Untamed's reaction? Does the Untamed accept this opportunity being given from the Redoubt?
I think the crone finishes fussing over that. Finishes fussing over Olgrid, getting the map to the tower, and turns and even though you can't see the crone's face, like you get the impression that they're glaring, and I think she says, "We will find these farms. We can find anything in these wilds because these wilds belong to us, and we will take them."
For the betterment of the city, I'm sure. And you can see the smile underneath the bottom of the mask as I grin.
And this will bring us to the actual city phase of the things, where we're now going to take the reins of the houses. There are some things established. I want to mention that the issue with the water and the issue of the water pollution right now is going to be sort of the larger crisis backdrop that's going to go through this first stage. We don't necessarily have to deal with it in this first kind of look at the house moves, but I want you to know that I'm going to kind of telegraph that a little bit. So when we come around, we're going to give you 2 decrees. And you'll see that some of the actions from the houses require you to spend a decree to do something when we come to you. So 2 gives us a chance to do a couple of those. We'll check in after that, and that may point us to a time to kind of go down to the flashpoint phase and look at what everybody's doing. So give me a second to pull my quick reference sheets here so that I have those moves at hand. And let me start with you, Patrick. In the deep end, you have 2 of these to spend to do things. What would you like to do?
To start with, on the map, I decided the strange new crystal growths are growing there near the Living College, because why not go ahead and compound problems and make them awful?
I think that's absolutely smart. So what is it that you want? Also, what are the surpluses and needs for your family right now? Because that's always a good touchstone to start from.
Let's see. I have surpluses of morale and wealth. things are going well with the concerts, and money is definitely pouring in for the Mirage. But we need spies, justice, and safety. I think the justice and safety sort of comes in under, like, certainly from the oppression from the Soldiers Guild.
Mm-hmm.
Spies, I don't know. I guess there are probably parts of Reline's organization that feel like maybe the overt turn the volume up to 11 all the time method of diplomacy is not the only way.
It is a little noisy for people who would prefer to work the underground, as it were.
So I'm just looking at my house moves here. Other than that, what I need to pick up is arts, or find a place haunted by memories of pride or sorrow, which is always fun. So, house moves. What might give me arts?
Do you think you need to seize a place? Do you need to take it from someone?
I don't know. It was an honest question. Is there a move where the outcome is you get arts?
So let's take a look at this. So conquer is direct to seize or maintain control of a strategic resource, location, or factor. That's one. Negotiate allows you to trade one surplus for another in case someone else has that. Um,
And arts is the like tangible magic resource, right? Like lore is knowledge and arts is magic.
Yes.
Well,
And
I
there's
think
always the question, if you have a lore to spend, you can spend it to say, how do I get surplus blank? You just spend it, and that doesn't cost a decree.
nice. So I think I have an idea of where maybe I could get some magical oomph from, and it's that problem that I'm supposed to be looking at, the new crystal growth infestation. So yeah, how would I move in on that? Something investigative?
So do you have a lore to spend?
Oh, no.
No, you don't. So why don't you tell me what the challenge is here for your house? Is it purely sort of a physical thing, or is there something defending it? What do you think keeps you from immediately going in and just taking these fungals? These new crystals.
It's the crystal growth, yeah. So I don't think we've realized yet that maybe this is like a seat of power for the non-existent sixth guild. So maybe it's interference from them.
I like that. So you've got two ways that you can do this then. I say that once you kind of realize that there's another faction kind of messing around in that, you could spend a decree and just seize, and we go and do the conquer, and we roll grasp. On the other hand, if you want to be more subtle, you can do the conspire move, which allows you to essentially mask the true nature of something. So maybe they're there, but they don't realize what it is, and you kind of, hide it from them to give yourself the opportunity to do it. So which one of those would you like to do?
I think more conspire to start out with. Not as far as trying to conceal my involvement in something because, again, bright and shiny. But yeah, I
Right.
do like that mask the true nature of a factor, but potentially leaving clues out.
Then roll with sleight. It's our first roll of the game, and it's by you, who has historically rolled well.
Oh, well, I chose a stat with a +1, so
That was a good call.
how could this go bad? Roller page. Do we have a roller page? Yes. No. Yes.
Yes, that should be on the Lines and Veils tab.
Yes. Six. Do that and roll it. 5 + 1 is 6.
5 + 1 is 6. Now, when you offer someone help with, so you have to, do you have to offer support before or after? This is always one of those questions. Let me look at the support move here. The first time we've done this.
If I'm reading the support move right, it seems like you would have to offer it before, because there's a whole lot of things that trigger it based on which die they roll and which one's the highest or lowest.
Yeah. So I think that what is it that you do to try and distract the 6th house? This 6th guild.
That's the true nature of it. So, I think we have people like sneaking in and working some like cosmetic magics on that crystal growth to make it look like there are like faults and veins running through it, that it's degrading and breaking down, and it's not even going to last the season. So it's probably just not even worth looking at even.
So I'm going to give you a choice of reaction here. Either you're messing with the crystals, creates a harmonic and actually destroys that surplus, or it's still intact, but the 6th guild realizes not that it's anything valuable, but that someone else is interfering and strikes at you, and you're going to have to roll endure.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm wanting this to be like our house's discovery moment of where is this viper's nest lie,
yeah.
I think it would be that.
Then let's have you roll endure. You roll with momentum.
Oh, good. I have a -1 in that. Because that's mood in this, right? Momentum.
Yes.
But that is an 8 - 1 is still a 7.
Okay, so on
fingernails on the ledge.
Yes. So you go in, you do this. On a hit, you're able to react to the danger, and you pick one of those things. Either you erase a surplus to negate the damage to you, you call out for support, and whoever is most willing and able to respond say how they mitigate it and gain influence over you, or you understand how the danger is tied to an existing factor and gain advantage acting on the answer. In this case, the factor could be the 6th guild.
Yeah, I would love to spread influence around, but that third one just seems to very much fit the situation that is going on.
So what do you learn about the 6th guild? What do you find out by this sort of back and forth? They're down there, and I imagine again we kind of get this shot of these caverns with these crystals. You've sent your people in to do with magic, and then these figures emerge from the shadow and strike at your people. Your people fall back. But what do they learn about the 6th guild?
So I don't know much about the Living College, but maybe it's something about why they chose this as their center of power? Like, it's not just an out of the way place. It has something that they're using or boosting off of.
Yeah, I think that you will see that they've kind of come down out and away from the living college. And you can see that some of them are sick. There's some kind of illness on them. And when your people kind of follow them back, the people that, strike at you, and a few of them follow some of these sick, skilled people back to living college, you can see that as they travel back up to the living college, those signs of the illness that are on them start to vanish. You're not sure what's going on. Is this related to that other plague or what? But you definitely get that impression that that's what's going on. Does that seem fair?
Yeah, like does it seem like they're all on a scale, or is it like some of them seem to have the sickness and some of them don't?
I think that there are some that don't seem infected, but I suspect that you'll also note that your people can tell that those are the people that have the most qualm, like have the most tie and most of that sort of magical gift. So something has gone wrong with them.
Interesting.
Sound
Okay,
good?
cool.
And when you act against the sixth guild now, you're going to have that fleeting advantage. Or if you want to follow up again to try and get that resource, you're going to have fleeting advantage because of that choice on Endure. Lord Taliesin, what is it that you wish to do? What decree do you wish to spend? What do you wish to do?
Because looking across here, building up lore doesn't happen on the house level, does it?
It looks like the hero level is where you actually gain lore.
Right. So I think I honestly want to have something on my hero level. I want to have Taliesin go and do an unearth up at the live stream.
That's interesting. So when an event needs greater detail, you can step into the character level for a brief scene. It's interesting because they do these things here at they ask for the house level, but I think we can probably do that. So what is it that you're doing again? Give me a frame of here.
I'm traveling up to the live stream, and I'm trying to do well, actually, I don't even know if I'm traveling up there. I think I'm just going through our records to unearth information about it. I'm doing the unearth move.
Then we'll look at the hero moves. So what does the library of the Primarch, what does that look like in the Redoubt?
Well, to come back just for a moment to our house level, I will say that the Redoubt is suffused with the mood of horror at the moment. And the ghosts are walking the hallways. The Redoubt looks terrifying. Echoes of the past offer counsel and omens when I am in this mood. And by the way, since I am in a conflict, my fortified did come up.
Yeah.
So I think that if we're going against the order of the order of Kradar, and they are mostly martial, I think that what's happening is in our grounds is this very deep mist of kind of just sapping your strength. I think it's just difficult to get to us at the moment.
I think that's fair.
All right.
So Unearth is going to give you questions.
Mm-hmm.
Explore would actually get you lore. So let's.
But unfortunately, Explore takes lore.
Yeah.
All right.
Explore is roll with prowess, and on a hit you learn new things.
Oh! I see. Explore on the hero. I'm sorry. I was looking at the whatever
research.
It is. I was looking at research. Sorry.
I really wish we had a few more moves.
I know, there are quite a few, ain't they? No, I'm doing the unearth. I mean,
Okay,
I'm
yeah, we'll
going
start
in and
with that.
studying.
Yeah.
Because I have a booster on that one. So I'm going to roll 2 dice, and I get to add 1, so that's an 11.
Ooh, look at you.
And because I'm me, when I do it, because I have everlasting life, when I unearth, I gain a lore. Because I'm long
I see. There's your
lived.
goob. All right.
And that is my ancestry move I picked up. So, by the way, anybody else who does an unearth, they can always choose to ask how Taliesin played a key role in this, whatever they're investigating, in addition to any other questions they ask.
So what are the 3 facts you want to declare about what's going on with the live stream?
Yeah, and
we know that it cleans things, but we also know that periodically recently contaminants have gotten into it. It's kind of been a cyclical thing.
Okay. One is how the war has impacted it. As the Empire left, they polluted it. We are only now realizing it, but they left something up in the floating garden above that does the purifying, and that's why this is happening.
Okay.
The second is the original source of its importance or influence. It was not always there. In fact, at one time, the garden sat upon it, and when the garden rose up out of it, the water began flowing down from the roots there, and that's what made it the pure water it is.
Okay.
And a reliable source of further information about it. The Verdants would know something about how to deal with this problem.
I think, though, the big question is, it's very difficult to get up to the garden because it's its own source of qualm. So using magics to fly up there is very dangerous. So no one knows what is up there that the Kitrians left behind.
Mm.
Is it a device? Is it corrupted crystal? Is it a monster? That's unknown. Sound okay?
Excellent.
Let's come then to Daniel. Let's come to our rebels here. What is it that the rebel underground is doing?
Well, I think we want to start chipping away at Ralene's problem, which is seems to revolve around the patrols, which I'm assuming is they're associated with a guild. Is that right?
Yeah, the soldiers are definitely the ones handling patrols and hassling people.
Okay. So I'm not exactly sure how these endeavors work in that context. Does something like a conspire with a sabotage, making a surplus, make it fail at the worst possible moment? Like, do they have surpluses? Like, do they have a defense surplus or a leadership surplus or something like that?
I think
that
you
we
could
target?
could do that, or the caravan itself might be considered a factor. I mean, it's a point of strategic interest, much like
Okay.
Patrick was doing. You could conceal the nature of the caravans. You could make it so it doesn't appear as interesting or as appealing for them to be hassling.
I see.
That there's a couple of ways you could do that.
So I like that idea. I also like the idea. So you said we can do 2 things, right?
Yeah, you have 2 decrees. We'll do one, and then we'll come around and do the other one.
Okay. So I would like to find something that would allow me to sort of sneakily provide myself with a surplus through the caravan.
Ooh, interesting.
And then I would like to try to help the caravan through the checkpoints. So let's see
so do you have lore? Any lore to spend?
I do. No, not that I'm aware of, unless we
Okay.
start with any for some reason.
I don't think we start with that. So let's look at again the ways that we go about doing this.
Yeah. Oh, there's a house move called Windfall that can get you lores or arts in any combination.
That's if you that's when your momentum goes up. If you've got surpluses,
momentum,
it will do that. Um,
What is how does momentum relate to surpluses?
so you take the number of surpluses you have and subtract the number of needs that you have. So everybody should probably be starting at a -1 momentum right now.
Gotcha. Okay.
Let's consider this, that we've got when your house claims or creates a key new strength, you get to add it as a surplus, and that's just a move that can come out of what you're doing here. So we can try and do the conspire with sleight, and on a good roll we can say, like, if you get a 10 plus, then yeah, definitely you can slide them over as an asset as a surplus in your side of things. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I think that will work.
So what is it we see your people doing on screen? Are they talking with the Caravanneers? Are they working the soldiers? What's the angle here?
Yeah, so I think what we're going to do is we're going to try to infiltrate the. Actually, we're going to try to infiltrate both. We're going to try to do a little infiltration in the Caravanneers and also into the patrols.
Okay.
And for the Caravanneers, we're going to say that we have some of our agents who are able to help the caravan get through the patrols, but in reality they're going to be loading some contraband, maybe some. Let's see, what do we have here? What do we need? We need. Let's try to get some. Let's try to get some wealth in.
Okay. So you're trying to angle this to pour some of the money from the caravan coffers into your side of things here?
Yeah, I think so.
Then let's have you roll sleight.
This is not going to go well for me.
Now, you could ask another house to help you. And they'll offer you a die. If they're an ally, they can offer you 2 dice.
Interesting. That is interesting. I think it'd be reasonable to maybe ask the Primarchy for some assistance here.
They're your ally, right?
They are my ally. So I think Lothianen will contact Taliesin on the sly. And we'll just explain that we have an opportunity to move some valuables around, but Lothianen will need Taliesin to maybe provide some kind of a distraction or an obstacle for the folks who are manning the checkpoints.
Most problems
In
for the soldiers
exchange
still?
for that,
Yeah.
in exchange for that, Lothianen can help him sort of transport to sort of smuggle whatever he needs into the city.
Would your house accept?
Of course, this is most helpful for us all.
So you're going to roll sleight, and you're going to roll 2 dice. That'll be your dice.
Mhm.
And then you're going to roll another 2 dice. That will be the dice that you've got from the helper, because we're going to want to see what the high-low dice are there.
So those have to be kept separate.
Yes.
Two separate 2d6 rolls.
Yeah, and then we'll take a look at those numbers.
Okay. So mine first is a 1 and a 5. Yep. And then the next ones are a 6 and a 1.
6 and a 1. So definitely his die was the highest. So you take influence. And I think if you're already allies, does that push that up? Or is it just...
Yeah, we have influence and an alliance, both.
I think there's just when you get influence, when you already have influence, move.
Let me take a look at that.
So that is a move.
Oh,
when you gain influence over effects, you may have influence over. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
What did it do?
So if you look under the house moves and look under the politics row, which is G, social grace. When you gain influence over a faction, you already have influence over pick 1.
You can remove their influence on you, Tyler. You can gain a decree, or you can immediately negotiate without a decree cost.
Ooh. So
And
many choices.
the negotiate wouldn't be that great because
I can't do it yet. Yeah.
But a decree or remove their influence.
Oh my. I think I'll gain the decree.
Okay.
I'm not going to hack their influence
So you've got,
quite yet.
Now you're sitting on 3 decrees right now. But here's the thing. It goes smooth like butter. You and the Redoubt, the Primarch work this out. You get the soldiers diverted. You make arrangements. You get the Carabineers so they're able to go through different channels and avenues. And I think as a result, you will get surplus wealth. You skim off of that. You've helped Relene, and you've gotten some for yourself. It's a win-win.
The best kind of relationship.
Absolutely. Let's come to Olgrid.
Hold on. Actually, I'm going to give that decree to my friends, the fudge. I'm sorry, Daniel, your people, the rebellion,
the rebel underground. Okay.
Yes, because that will give me another lore.
Can you give decrees?
As an alliance move.
Ooh.
Oh, where are those? Under politics?
Yeah, it was under that thing we were just looking at. Yeah.
Oh, we just get random bonuses for being an alliance. That's awesome. Okay.
Gain 1 lore. Very okay. So there's another engine for gaining lore.
Wow,
Still
there's
having
so
trouble
much.
getting arts. Arts are really going to be tough to get.
Yeah, we'll have to take a look at how that engine works. So Olgrid,
Cool.
what is the Untamed one? What are they doing?
I think the Untamed are going to try and basically find and seize control of those old fungal farms.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds most like the conquer move to me, unless there's another one I'm missing.
Spend a decree. You want to direct your house to go and seize, maintain control of a strategic resource. You want to go in and take it, you can take it.
Okay, that requires me to roll grasp.
Yes.
Which is a +0. Let's see. Would anyone like to offer any assistance in this?
So with assistance, it can offer him a die.
Yeah, like maybe Velos, since you
Where's
pointed us toward these fungal farms. Is that right, or was it? I'm trying to remember. He pointed us toward these.
I think I pointed them out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Tyler, what do you think? Might the Primarchy give some extra assistance in locating these fungal farms based
Do I
on
have to have influence to do it?
No, you don't. However,
Uh-huh.
he will share in the consequences if you assist.
I'm awfully busy. We are just really booked. Sorry.
That's the Tyler I know. Right there.
Okay. All right. So let's roll 2 dice. That is a big fat 2. That goes absolutely terribly.
So I think that you go into these fungal farms that are old, lost for time, faded away. And I think you go in to harvest them. And that's the point at which you realize that they're alive and they are sentient and they are their own cabal. And when you intrude into their realm, you will be pushed back and essentially driven out, and you are now in conflict, an ongoing conflict with essentially what we'll call the Montongo. Essentially, they break out into the light of day, return up to Montara, and have declared war on you. Does that seem fair? What do they look like?
So
yeah, what do they look like? What do you think these fungal people are like? Are they humans, slightly fungal? Are they mushroom folk? What do you think?
I think they're humanoid roughly, but it's a very rough humanoid shape. They don't look like mushrooms. They're not like, because that would be kind of cute. They are they're just sort of this sort of like creepy looking fungal growth, like all of the creepiest funguses or mushrooms you've ever seen, like devil fingers and that's what these things look like a humanoid version of the creepiest fungus you could find.
Excellent. So let's see if we can get another round of this, if you don't mind, because let's see if we can do that. We'll check the time on this. Raleen, you have another decree left.
True.
What would you like to do? Now you've got some advantage.
Just check my house moves one more time. Because of my conflict move, the 6th guild does have a constant need mirage.
Ooh. Well, that's bad for them because they kind of need the stuff to help them. So yeah, they're in bad shape.
Oh, and weirdly, in a bit of synergy, my alliance move is when another faction gains need mirage, gain influence over them.
So you have influence over the 6th guild right now.
Nice.
So technically, I believe that you could, well, you can't command them.
What do you do with influence?
So with influence, let's see here. There's alliance. Command is if you have dominion over someone.
Doesn't seem to be a spend influence to ask someone for something.
Yeah, that's a little unusual. I would have thought there would be something like that. I guess they want you to kind of keep pushing that up.
Okay. Well, so gosh, I hate to go to a conquer because it seems so outside of things, but I think given the knowledge of the situation, like if we just got in there and got some of those crystals away from them, they probably couldn't chase us very far. And that might be safer than trying to study and research the crystals in their home spot.
Absolutely, and you've got advantage.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna do that. It's definitely not gonna be Raleen. She has an overly muscled and oiled bodyguard, and I think he needs a crystal shrieking strike force. Grasp, it said, I think.
Yeah.
Grasp is have a +1 in that too. Okay.
Look at you. It's like you're playing to your strength.
Only accidentally. Another die, another die. That's you. And now, don't fuck up. Well, that's a 6 + 1 is at least a 7.
Okay. So you need to choose 2 from the list. You're going to get that surplus. But there is a cost there.
I'm already in a conflict with them.
Yep.
I guess bare need of the GM's choice is a cost. I guess hurt a faction accidentally?
Sure. Who do you hurt?
I don't know. Wasn't there someone else that was connected with the Living College?
I think it was just the 6th guild is who we had assigned there.
Gotcha.
Well, we also have there's someone there who is from our ancient past of the first city, the Methuselah.
Yeah. He's not a cabal, he's a problem.
Let's go with the Mistwraiths.
Okay.
Like maybe they try and do a raid on our party on their way back, and we mess them up.
Or how about I will also suggest, since you are going into undergrounds, now that these fungal folk are spilling out.
Ooh, fun fungus people going after crystal power. Yeah, I like that.
Okay, so you will start a conflict with them. And do you want to bear a need, or do you want to tie that surplus you get to another surplus?
I was going with the herd of faction.
Oh, okay.
Gain influence over you.
Okay. Who did you? Let me start back. So the two you picked are.
Oh, tabs. Come back here. So, bear need of the GM's choice, and herd of faction accidentally they gain influence over you.
Okay. So right now the fungal folk have influence over you. And what is the surplus you're taking from the crystals here?
I don't actually know. I mean, I was going after them as a way to try and like do something with them and get arts out of it, but that's not a resource.
Well, what do you want to call this? What do you think these crystals would help with? They're an unusual property. What will they boost for you?
About prestige? I don't have that, do I? No. How about prestige?
Yeah,
as I start using them in the shows?
Oh yeah, they're brilliant crystals. They're potent. But I do think that they are stronger than you are used to. And I do think you will gain need medicine. Does that seem fair?
Yeah.
Tyler, let's come to you.
Alrighty. I think I'm going to tell me if this seems reasonable to you, Lowell.
Sure.
I'm thinking of doing a conquer to go up to the Gardens of the Foundation and restore the statues. Would that be a conquer to get morale?
I think that's absolutely a thing you could do. Yeah, I think you've already established its importance. We've already built it into a thing as a flashpoint that this place is of value. It's a factor you're seizing for that. I think that makes sense to me.
And I would like to ask if the rebellion would be willing to help me.
What do you think?
Sure, that seems reasonable.
All right. So I roll 2, and then you'll roll 2. So I'm rolling mine. It's grass for everything. I have 0.
Okay.
So I have a 7. So
5 and a 2.
5 and a 2. And I've got a 4 and a 2.
4 and a 2. So not the least and not the most. So that is a 9, I believe.
I think so. A 5 and a 4. That's
Okay.
a 9.
Now, what are the 2 picks you want for that?
All right. I'm going to have to commit a surplus. When does it come back?
Oh no, committing it means that it's tied. They're connected, meaning that if you lose one, you'll lose the other.
Oh, that's neat. That's a cool rule. Then yeah, I'm going to commit my prestige.
Okay. So your prestige is tied to it. As long as people, believe in your strength and position and power, your own people will be flush with this victory.
Okay.
And what's the other one?
Oh, that's where it gets naughty, doesn't it? I think I'm going to. I think I'm going to accidentally hurt the tower.
Hurt the Tower of Velos.
Yeah.
How
Tower?
does that happen?
Um. Tell me if I mean you're getting so good at it. Tell
Am
me.
I?
Yeah, you're getting influence on me.
And on the rebels, because they also share in the consequences of this since they assisted.
Okay,
I
I'm
hate
slightly
it.
better with that.
I hate it.
I think that this has been a very convenient and easy place to deal your wares because it was in such decrepitude and such not used. It was people were coming in. It was a good drug handoff spot. I'm putting the light back to it. It will be once more the glory it was. Seem
So,
fair?
Nice.
so you will gain influence over those two factions. Let's come back for your second possible decree back to the rebels. What would I do for your second action?
Yeah. That is a great question. I think we want to I think we want to go into conflict with the what are they called? The Mistwraiths?
Okay, want to move in on them?
Yeah, I think we want to move in on the Mistwraiths.
What is it you want to gain from that?
I think I want to try to go for another. I think I want to try to go for another resource. So I
what do
have
you
a
what
need.
what did Mistwraith have that you would be taking from them?
Yeah. So I have a need for justice. How does that work if I try to gain that as a surplus? Does that just like remove it as a need?
Yeah, so yeah, if you have a need for it, it'll remove. So right now, your need
Okay.
justice reads like there's a longstanding crime that demands reparations. The group that hurt you hasn't
Mhm.
suffered at all. Well, you have to deal with the harm they dealt every day.
Right. So I think that the Mistwraiths are so they were like soldiers from Kitrian soldiers.
They're all
That's the Empire, right?
soldiers. They're
They're all
all
soldiers.
soldiers that got essentially this is their essence that's down there.
Right. So I think the injustice we're trying to correct is that we have amongst our membership we have many former soldiers and there are a lot of these Mistwraiths who are the spirits of soldiers who have who basically killed their kin or wounded them or so that sort of thing. So
And I imagine because we talked about the process that the magics that were done, I imagine strong souls, those magic users who died eventually would be strong souls that would survive there. So there's probably some of their number amongst them, essentially the spirits of the people who did these processes to you too.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. And I believe that one of you folks also were having conflicts with the Mist Wraiths. Is that right?
Let's look at the houses and guilds.
I thought we had just talked about it today that somebody was having.
Oh, I almost did with my Conquer choice.
Almost.
But ended up
Okay,
with
okay.
the Fungals.
Okay. Then I think that this is probably something we will not necessarily ask for support with.
Okay.
Support seems cool, but also a little dangerous.
Yes. Well, dangerous to the person who helps you. Yes.
Also that. Yeah.
Yes. So yeah,
right.
then you roll with grasp.
Let's do it. 12. Wow. That's just 2 naked 6s.
So your people, what does it look like when you move into strike to do this?
Oh my goodness.
Is it more subtle, or are you, going to a sort of full military sorcery attack?
No, I think it's probably more subtle. I honestly think that maybe what it is we figured out some way to communicate with them in an at least limited fashion, and we are able to establish duels between people who have been horribly wronged.
Nice.
And so we have started to have these these duels in the dark of night when no one else is near, and we have been extraordinarily successful with them thus far, at least.
That's nice. So you only have to choose one from the conquer list. Then you're going to get surplus justice, which will remove your need,
Mm-hmm.
and then you need to pick one of those things.
I would like to spark a conflict with a faction of your choice.
Interesting. Let me look at something here. I think that you are going to spark a conflict with the verdant priesthood. I think that they consider what you're doing kind of like the dead are dead, they pass on, and bringing these burdens, all this does is they believe kind of corrupts the spirit. And I think that they will react very negatively to you undertaking that. Does that seem fair?
Totally. Yeah.
Olgrid, Untamed, you've got another move, and you've got these you're now at war with the mushroom people.
Yep. Let's see.
Try and negotiate with them, cease that conflict.
Yeah, I think that's probably because it was. I think the conflict initially seemed like it was born out of a misunderstanding of exactly what was going on in the old fungal caverns.
Mm-hmm.
So I think some of the we kind of asked the iconoclasts to sort of mediate a little bit and work and see what we can do.
Let's have you roll reach.
I actually have a +1 for that one, so that might actually go well.
We saw a 12 tonight.
Yeah, not mine, but it goes terrible.
Sorry, I used up the 12.
Yeah, that was a 4.
That was a 4. Then I think you're going to have to roll endure, because when you get to that meeting, I think that they kill the crone.
Ooh, okay.
Like what the negotiators and the fungal people come, and they go to meet, and they explode into spores, and just and the negotiating party is just covered, and they break out in mushrooms, and it just drains them, and they collapse to the ground.
Okay. And Endure is rolling with momentum, right?
Yep.
Okay. I have a 2 momentum based on my 3 surpluses and 1 need. So yeah, let's see if I can continue my tradition so far tonight. No, this time it's a 13.
13. So this brings your house together. I think they are enraged by this betrayal. I think that they are furious, and I think that you will I think you'll gain. Tell me what your surpluses are right now.
My surpluses are hunters, laborers, and scouts. My needs are spies.
Okay, I think that you will gain surplus recruits. I think that this draws, all the people of your clan together, and the young warriors and people who might have been holding back will throw themselves into the fray to come. Does that seem fair?
I think so. Now, and then I pick one out of this list, correct?
No, because you did the 10 plus. Oh yeah, you do pick one, but you also get surplus. That's right. I'm sorry.
Okay, I was trying to, and there's so many of these moves. I'm trying to.
I know. I forgot that it's a hit. The other game is
now. Also, let's see. All right. I think I'm going to pick understand how the danger is tied to an existing factor and get fleeting advantage acting on the answer.
These fungal people are empowered by the polluted water.
Haha.
They are gaining strength from that corruption and pollution.
Okay, and this is the polluted water coming from the life stream.
Coming from the river. The river. That's okay. Yeah. Now, the problem with the live stream is sometimes it's not actually filtering the corruption like it should.
Okay. So the river is corrupted, but that's probably exacerbated by the live stream's inability to clear out the pollutants like it's supposed to. Okay.
Sound good?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, we're a little over, but I do want to stop there. I know we've got some decrees still outstanding, but I want to stop there. Let's do a check-in at the beginning of next session. What I want you to do is take a look at your house moves that you've chosen, and now that kind of seeing how the house moves work, if there are changes that you want to make to those to kind of build some synergies or change things around, feel free to do that. But what we're going to do next time is we're definitely going to wrap up the last decree that's out there, which I believe is Tyler's. And then we will move to the sort of the hero level and check in with our characters and see what they're doing, and maybe get some paired scenes and so on, have a chance to generate lore, all of that kind of thing. Sound good?
Yes, I do want to ask one quick question before we finish. I know we're over.
Sure.
But I gained that surplus morale. It's tied to the gardens, but actually it seems like I gained the gardens, which I converted to the surplus, which erased a need, but my morale is still tied to the space. It's not tied to the need that I've now erased. I don't have surplus morale.
Okay, that seems fair. That if you lose that, then you'll lose control of that strategic location.
Yeah, because they apparently have a thing about strategic resource, which then can be converted to a supply, but the resource is still a thing.
Okay, that seems fair. Yeah, and I'm going to look again hard through the moves. This is the first time we've encountered them. They are more different than I thought from basic Legacy.
Yeah,
And
same.
and and it is one of the things, only once you kind of get into the weeds, do you realize, okay, let's figure out, like, how do you get lore? How
And
do you get art?
art.
Let's need to take a look through that. So this was a learning experience. I appreciate all of you going along with me on this.
It's super cool.
Yeah. So I am going to stop the recording here.